got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your head. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That bell bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you with Toadstool Sports. Wednesday, May 6th, 0-3 on the show yesterday. Texas Rangers started out with a 3-0 lead in the first inning and then basically blew that immediately, even though it was DeGrom on the mound, and then they never scored again, and the bullpen wasn't that good. There's nothing that I have to say about that. The hockey under was looking really bad right away. You had literally 2 goals scored on the first 3 shots of the game, and Minnesota doesn't know who their goaltender is anymore. Like, I thought in game 1 they just switched goalies because the game was so out of control. It was just like, all right, let's put somebody else in. I didn't realize that they were still going to have goaltending issues and have no idea who their goalie is. They're dead. They're obviously not winning that series. But the game still should have gone under, even though there were 2 goals scored in the first 3 shots of the game. It was 1-1 in the first 2 minutes of the game. Then it was 2-1 within the first 5 minutes or so. Probably 3 goals on the first 5 or 6 shots. The game was still going to go under, and then an empty net put it over. It's like you cannot even play a hockey under. There's an empty net going every fucking game. I'm so sick of it. And one of them did get us a win the other day instead of a push on Vegas, but I'm fucking sick of this shit. And then the Cleveland Cavs, they were really bad at the beginning of the game. And then they still probably should have covered. They closed the gap completely. I think they at least tied the game late in the game. They might have taken the lead, too. I don't know. The game was close near the end. It was low scoring. Although low scoring actually is a better style of game for Detroit. Cleveland needs to score, and they did not do that in the game yesterday. It was too low scoring for a Cleveland game. But still, I don't know. They could have covered. I'm done with it. We need to bounce back. StreamYard is not working for me right now, which is, all right, there we go. I'm going to give out 3 baseball plays. They're all totals. I'm going to give out 1 NBA play as well, and that's going to be what today is. Mr. Pinsey, Kyle, what's up? Rangers bases loaded with 1 out and did get a run. Yeah, but at that point, you're hoping to get really lucky at that point. Yesterday was fucking horrible. Yeah, fuck the empty net. I don't know what else to say about that. If the game didn't start off with 2 goals on the first 3 shots, that still would have gone under. So, I have nothing else to say about that. And then the empty net, I don't know. I know it's the playoffs, whatever, but you're really going to continue going empty net in the final minute of the game or whatever when you're down 2 goals. Okay, I mean, I guess it makes sense. I guess there's nothing else you could do, but still, a lot of times teams will back off and not do that. We have afternoon baseball because a lot of these series are ending today. Toronto at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is on the verge of a sweep here, and they've won 5 games in a row. Tampa Bay is hot right now, but I always talk about how a team might overlook the other team when they're about to sweep them. Maybe you get extra effort from Toronto here. Tampa Bay, do they look ahead to the Red Sox? I don't know. I mean, the Red Sox are the last place team in the division. Possibly not the worst team in the division, but it's also a division where really none of the teams in this division are really that bad, though. But I don't know. Maybe you get extra effort from Toronto here. Tampa Bay used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Toronto also used 3. The bullpens are both, I don't know, I guess I would say mediocre at this point. Tampa Bay is ranked 16th right now, 14th for Toronto based on whip. Not really a huge disparity. Tampa Bay's bullpen was really bad at the beginning of the season, but they're better recently. Hitting-wise, I think both teams are kind of mediocre as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they're 18th and 19th. Tampa just above Toronto. Patrick Corbin is pitching for Toronto. You know I'm not a fan of Corbin. Although his numbers this year, not bad. 3.65 ERA, 1.26 whip. He's been good on the road, 2.25 road ERA so far. Yeah, I mean, he's been actually pretty decent. He's given up 2 or fewer earned runs in his last 4 outings. 20-7 overall strikeout walk ratio on 24 hits allowed in 24 2/3 innings. Strikeout rate's not high, but none of these numbers are really bad. So, you know, take away from that what you want. But Corbin's been all right. Numbers against Tampa Bay are not that good. In 44 at-bats, 5-4 strikeout walk ratio, 318 batting average allowed, 784 OPS. So that makes it look like the matchup might not be particularly good for Corbin. Shane McClanahan is pitching for the Rays. He has really started turning it on in his last couple outings. 3.1 ERA on the season, 1.17 whip. He's been really good at home, 1.2 ERA. So both of these pitchers have good home road splits here. McClanahan has thrown 2 shutouts in a row where he's gone 5+ innings in both of them against Minnesota and San Francisco, but both of those were home outings. McClanahan is a guy who's trying to come back from injury after missing, I think, 2 years with injuries, surgery, whatever, Tommy John. He looks to be kind of on his way back to what he used to be. If you look at his old numbers, like back when before his injury, his numbers are really good in his career, and he looks to sort of be headed back in that same direction now. He's got a 30-13 strikeout walk ratio. Still too many walks, but not that bad. 21 hits allowed in 29 innings. McClanahan, I mean, yeah, he looks pretty good right now. Numbers against Toronto, though, are actually not good. In 63 at-bats, 15-5 strikeout walk ratio, 302 batting average, 829 OPS allowed. So, and those numbers were accumulated when he was actually better as well. So the matchup, like everything looks kind of good for both pitchers. They're both pitching pretty well right now. I think McClanahan is the better pitcher generally over Corbin, but they both also have bad matchup numbers. So it's like, what do you do with this game? I don't know. I'm passing on it because I just think there are too many factors in both directions here. The money looks like it's sort of coming in towards Toronto. Tampa Bay, minus 130 something range on the money line. 72% of tickets, 66% of the cash on them. Money also hitting the over, but the total's at 7.5. So both starting pitchers are getting respect in the market here, which makes sense in a way, but the matchup numbers don't really look good to me, as I just showed you. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you want the deciding factor to be that Toronto's going to put in extra effort to try to avoid the sweep, you could lean that way, but I also, you know, just on the surface, if you make me choose, I think McClanahan is better than Corbin, so I don't know what else to say about it. I don't have a good read on the game. The money seems to be indicating towards Toronto a little bit as the small underdog. Tyson, what's up? Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Milwaukee at St. Louis. I believe this game got rained out yesterday, and I think it's going to be played at a later time because these teams are in the same division, so there is going to be another trip from Milwaukee to St. Louis at some point, so they're not going to play a doubleheader during this series. What this does mean is both teams were off yesterday. St. Louis won game 1 of this now 2-game series. I think Milwaukee is actually the better team, so Milwaukee might actually show up. We have rested bullpens now. Milwaukee is 19th in bullpen whip. St. Louis is 26th. Not a very good bullpen, so Milwaukee does have the better bullpen. St. Louis 6th in offense, though, based on OPS. And Milwaukee 21st. Milwaukee did get Churio back. I think in the last game was his first game back. So that should help Milwaukee's offense a little bit. Starting pitching is the same as what it was yesterday. I handicapped it yesterday. Brandon Sproat is listed as the starter for the Brewers. He has not been good. 6.75 ERA, 1.61 whip, 7 road ERA. Really struggling, although he really got bombed in his first outing against the White Sox, and he settled down a bit after that, but he still failed to make it 5 innings in 3 of his 5 starts since then. He hasn't allowed more than 4 earned runs in any of those, but it's still not very good. 25 to 15 strikeout walk ratio, way too many walks. 28 hits allowed in 26 and 2/3 innings. Maybe one good thing for him is that St. Louis has never seen him before. Maybe he pitches a little bit better for that reason. I don't like Andre Payante, who is pitching for the Cardinals, even though his 3.73 ERA looks good. 1.31 whip is not that good. He's been pretty bad at home, 5.28 home ERA, despite the pitcher-friendly nature of this ballpark. 26 strikeouts, 14 walks, 27 hits allowed in 31 1/3 innings. It's not a lot of hits, but it is way too many walks. Strikeout rate is not high, but that's just not really what he does. He's only allowed more than 3 earned runs once, though, and it was against the Red Sox, hilariously, at home, by the way. So, you got to give him credit for that, I guess. He's been pitching well enough to keep his team in these games, which, again, is reflected in his ERA, but his whip is telling you that he's getting a little bit lucky. And his numbers against the Brewers are not good. In 55 at-bats, 7 strikeouts, 11 walks, really bad. 327 batting average allowed, 930 OPS. I'm going to say what I said yesterday, and I like Milwaukee in the game, but Sproat is just such a mystery. I think the better approach here is to go Milwaukee over their team total. They do have Chourio back. I know having yesterday off makes it a little bit worse than yesterday because, if they were playing the game yesterday and Milwaukee wasn't off the day before that, the hitting is still like in rhythm, you know what I mean? Having a day off might hurt the rhythm of the bats a little bit, which makes it a little bit worse than I thought it was yesterday. But I think I would lean Milwaukee over their team total here. The full game total's 8, so you're probably asking Milwaukee to score. I don't know. They're actually the underdog in this game, so you're probably only asking them to score 4 or 5 runs here. That's definitely doable against a pitcher that's not that good, that they've historically hit pretty well, and a bad bullpen, so that's probably what I would do. St. Louis is a small favorite, around -115. I'd still lean to Milwaukee as a side as well, getting them as a small dog. I think they're the better team, and you're getting them as a dog. You're going to have to try to dodge Sproat, though, not being particularly good. There's a chance he pitches all right here because St. Louis has not seen him, but that hasn't helped him in his other games this year. So, because I'm assuming he has been unfamiliar to some of his other opponents this year as well. Dodgers at Houston. Dodgers somehow lost the game yesterday, 2-1. Just shockingly low scoring for a game involving a Houston pitching staff up against a Dodger offense. I don't know what that was. I think the Dodgers might bounce back here. They're the better team, but you're having to lay a huge price if you want the Dodgers here. Houston has a terrible bullpen. They're still the worst in baseball. They only used 1 guy out of it last night, though, or yesterday, whatever. I think it was last night. Dodgers also only used 1. Dodgers have been good. They're ranked 3rd in bullpen right now. Houston is ranked dead last, 30th. Offense, Dodgers are ranked 3rd right now. Houston 5th. I think Dodgers do probably have a slightly better offense. Tyler Glasnow is pitching for the Dodgers. He is the much better of the 2 starters in this game. 2.56 ERA, 0.83 whip, 1.29 ERA on the road. He's been really good on the road so far. He's allowed more than 2 earned runs only once. 47 strikeouts, 19 hits allowed, and 13 walks allowed in 38 2/3 innings. He's been basically unhittable. He's allowing fewer than 1 hit every 2 innings. The walk number is slightly high, but he's also getting a lot of strikeouts. We get it. He's a pretty dominant pitcher, and Houston only has 5 hitters who've ever faced him before, and they have 34 at-bats against him, 12 strikeouts, 2 walks, a 176 average, 605 OPS. Basically, nobody on Houston can hit him outside of Altuve, who is 4 for 10, with a double and 2 home runs and a walk off him. Nobody else hits him at all, though, so Glasnow looks like he sets up to pitch pretty well here. Lance McCullers Jr. is pitching for the Astros. He's really, really struggled since trying to come back from injury. 6.32 ERA, 1.4 whip. Not good. A little bit better at home. 5.29 ERA at home. Still pretty bad, though. 33 strikeouts in 31 to third innings this year. That's not bad. It means his strikeout stuff is here, but he's got 17 walks. That's really the main concern. His wildness is pretty bad. 27 hits allowed isn't bad. But yeah, he's walking way too many guys, so that has been his main issue. Numbers against the Dodgers are not particularly good. In 42 at-bats, 14 strikeouts, 12 walks. 7 of those walks are Ohtani, though. 262 batting average allowed, 878 OPS. So I like the Dodgers in this game. You know, they're the better team. They're in a bounce-back spot off of an ugly loss. You know, you can't really lay minus 220 whatever, though. Like, I'm never going to do that in baseball. I mean, I guess if you wanted to parlay that money line with something else, although I hate parlays, I think the Dodgers will win the game. They got 73% of tickets, 77% of the cash on them. Total in the game is sitting at 9. You know, money coming in a little bit towards the under, but I think possibly what you could do is, you know, you could go Dodgers over their team total is definitely one way that you could play this, just like the other day. I think you'd have to go over 5.5 again on this. But, you know, I don't know, though, because you really want to take advantage of the full advantage of this, which also includes Glasnow shutting Houston down, you know what I mean? So just playing the Dodgers to score, I think is removing one of the biggest advantages the Dodgers have here, which is their starting pitcher here. I don't know, man. It might be a situation where maybe you could lay the run line. I mean, I know I've done it a couple of times with, you know, slight success, I guess. I think I've won more of those than I've lost this year, but not by much. I don't do it that often, and the Dodgers were the culprit that was a loser on one of those recently. But I think you might be able to do it there. You might be able to lay the minus 1.5 with the Dodgers there. You're probably looking at minus 1.5 at above minus 120, though, on that game. San Diego at San Francisco. These teams have played 2 games already, and they've split the 2, so I would imagine both teams are going to show up here. Divisional series, trying to win the series, I believe, unless they play tomorrow, too. They do not, I don't believe. No, San Diego has a series against St. Louis tomorrow, and I think San Francisco is off. So this is for the series. Both of these bullpens are pretty good. San Francisco did use 4 relief pitchers yesterday. San Diego used 3. Did not really use many of their better relief pitchers, so San Diego's bullpen probably does set up a little bit better in this game. They're ranked 7th right now. Giants are 12th, although I think the Giants are a good bullpen. Both offenses have been pretty bad. San Diego 24th, San Francisco 29th out of 30. The San Francisco team has not been able to get anything going offensively. Will they against Matt Waldron? I don't know. Matt Waldron, the knuckleballer, his numbers are pretty bad this year. 9.88 ERA, 1.98 whip. He's only made 3 starts, though, but he's been worse on the road, 12.46 ERA on the road. That makes sense because San Diego's a pitcher-friendly ballpark, but so is San Francisco, and that's where he's pitching here now. He was a little bit better in his last outing. He held the Cubs to 3 runs in 5 innings. He only had 1 strikeout, but when you throw the knuckleball, you're not looking for strikeouts. Like, you're looking for guys to make soft contact with the ball. So that is basically what he's been doing. He seems to be trending a little bit in the right direction. I mean, he's not really an awful pitcher. I mean, he's pretty much what you would expect out of a knuckleballer. Not quite as bad as his numbers make it look right now. His numbers against the Giants, they only have 5 hitters who faced him before. Devers is 2 for 2 with a home run off him, but they have 13 total at bats, 2 strikeouts, no walks, 231 average, and 692 OPS. They only have 1 other hit besides the 2 Devers hits. So Waldron might actually pitch okay here. Adrian Hauser is pitching for the Giants. He's been bad this year, 7.12 ERA, 1.71 whip, which kind of surprises me because last year he actually pitched pretty well. He was on a couple of different teams last year, and he had much better numbers than this. Like, to me, I think he's kind of a serviceable pitcher, and I don't see him falling completely off a cliff at 33 years old, especially when he's pitching in a pitcher-friendly environment here. So I kind of think he's going to turn it around at some point, but right now his numbers do look really bad. He's been really bad at home, too, shockingly. 10.8 home ERA. That's not good. 16 strikeouts, 10 walks overall, and 42 hits allowed in 30 and a third innings, along with 6 home runs. That's bad. The Giants have won one of his games, and it was an extra inning win. Yeah, I mean, they're not giving him much run support, but he's also not pitching well. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think you really trust Hauser here, but his numbers are all right against San Diego. In 76 at-bats, 16 strikeouts, 4 walks, 250 average allowed, 682 OPS. So, we have good matchup numbers, it looks like, from these two starters. I don't think we really trust either starter. The money looks like it's somewhat indicating on the over. 85% of tickets, 90% of the cash on the over. Total at 8.5. I don't think I like the over. Both pitchers could actually do okay in a better pitching environment like this with a better matchup. Then the bullpens are, not bad. As far as the side, San Francisco's about minus 110 or so, maybe a little bit less. They look like they're getting the money as well. 58% of the tickets are on the Padres, 62% of the cash on the Giants. I mean, I think Hauser at his best might be better than Waldron. I mean, I guess that's what I'll say, but he's not at his best at all right now. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good feel for this game at all. Could be a bounce back for the Giants maybe after they got absolutely embarrassed yesterday. It looks like Logan Webb has not really fixed whatever's going on with him. So I don't know. White Sox at Anaheim. These teams have split the first 2 games as well. Anaheim won yesterday. So sort of a rubber match. I don't think these teams are playing tomorrow. So yeah, this is the rubber match of the series. I expect both teams probably show up here. The White Sox used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Their bullpen is not particularly good. Neither is Anaheim's. They used 4. Bullpen rankings, Anaheim is 27th right now, and the White Sox are 24th. So not very good bullpens. Offensively, the White Sox have actually started hitting. They're 16th, and Anaheim is 15th right now. So we have 2 okay offenses going on here. Noah Schultz is pitching for the White Sox. I'm a fan, man. When I see a guy with a good scouting report and he's a Goliath on the mound at 6'10", I'm like, yeah, I kind of like this. He's the next coming of Randy Johnson, although maybe not, but he has a really nasty mid to upper 90s sinker, and his numbers are good so far. 2.53 ERA, 1.03 whip. I said it right away. I liked Schultz coming into the season. This is his rookie season if he pitches enough this year. He's only 22 years old. He's been really good on the road, 0.82 road ERA. That's a good sign. He's allowed no more than 3 earned runs in any of his outings. That was his first outing. His problem has been walks. He's got to get that under control. That is very Randy Johnson-esque, by the way. Early in Randy Johnson's career, he was ridiculously wild. 20 strikeouts, 12 walks. He's got to get those walk numbers down, man. 10 hits allowed in 21 and a third innings. So hitters have not been able to hit him. So that's been good. I think his arm angle is just very difficult to pick up, being a lefty of that height. So, but he's got to get the walks under control. His strikeout rate could be a little bit higher, but whatever. The walks are the main issue here. He's still a good pitcher, though, I think. Young, and Anaheim's never faced him before. So he might have a little bit of an extra advantage here against a lineup that isn't particularly good and hasn't faced him before. So I do like Schultz to match up okay in this one. He's going up against another guy who's a rookie and 22 years old, Walbert Urania, who has not been as good. He's got a 3.86 ERA, which doesn't look bad, but a 1.84 whip is really bad. He's having problems, man. That indicates that his ERA should be way higher than it is. He's been good at home, though, 2.45 ERA at home. So his 2 home starts have been his best starts of the season against San Diego and the Mets, though. So those were against some really weak offenses. And I know it's not like the White Sox are a powerhouse offense here, but they're better than San Diego and the Mets right now. But Urania did pitch well in those 2 outings. He gave up 2 or fewer earned runs in both of them. Still, his overall numbers do not inspire a whole lot of confidence right now. 17 Ks, 13 walks. That's a ton of walks. 17 hits allowed in 16 and third innings. He's walking almost a guy an inning. That is a problem. He's got to get that under control. So his walk issues are worse than Schultz's. And yes, he's never been seen before by the White Sox, so he might have that extra edge there. But I like Schultz better. Schultz is a little bit more proven to me at this point. The money is hitting the White Sox here. They're about a minus 110 or so favorite here. They dropped a little bit on the money line, but they have 80% of tickets, 86% of the cash on the White Sox. The White Sox bullpen, I think, has actually been slightly better as well. They're pitching a little bit better recently, and their ERA is like 0.7 runs better. So I'm going to lean White Sox here. I think they have the better pitching throughout this game, actually. So, yeah, White Sox would be my opinion in that game. Not a really strong opinion, though. Caleb, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Caleb, you were the one that re-found the show, right, after I renamed it and you hadn't found it anymore. Thanks for coming back, man. Yeah, hopefully people could find it. I don't know. I rebranded it, but I kept it. If you were already subscribed, you'll still be subscribed to it, you know. By the way, for people that were saying that they didn't get the notification that I went live yesterday, hopefully you did today. Hopefully it was a glitch. And what I will say is I went to YouTube and I looked, and there are different notification settings. Like, it defaults to personalize, and I don't really know what that means. So if you switch it to all, you get all notifications from my channel. That might help. I don't know, man. All right. Atlanta at Seattle. I know I haven't gotten to any of my plays yet. I know. They're coming up. The next game is going to be one of them. Atlanta at Seattle. These teams have split the first two games of this series. They both won by 1 run. This has been an interesting series. Atlanta has one of the best records in baseball. Seattle, I think, is a little bit under the radar right now. I believe this is the end of the series, so this is the rubber match in this series as well. I think both teams show up for it. I don't think there's really a motivational concern here. 3 relievers used yesterday for Atlanta. Seattle used 2, and they did use Munoz. And I don't know, Ferrer might be one of their back end guys as well. Probably he is, because they won the game by 1 run. So they did use a couple of their better relief pitchers yesterday. But Seattle's a decent bullpen, although we do have them ranked 15th right now. Their ERA is a lot better than that, so I think they're probably a little bit better than that. Atlanta is ranked number 1 in bullpen, though. So we have 2 pretty good bullpens here, in my opinion. Atlanta's also ranked number 1 in offense. I mean, they've been really shockingly good this year. Even with what I think is not the best lineup, if you just look at who they have in it. Seattle has not been as good offensively. They're 21st, so the big advantage Atlanta does have is the hitting. But I think better pitching outweighs better hitting. Martin Perez is pitching for Atlanta. He's been pretty good, man. I mean, he's still doing it. Like, again, he's a veteran journeyman pitcher, doesn't strike a lot of guys out, doesn't throw hard, but knows how to, like, locate his stuff, and he's got a 2.22 ERA and 0.99 whip here. That's good. He's not been as good on the road, though. 3.86 road ERA. He's been excellent at home for whatever reason, but he's on the road today or tonight. But actually, are we still in the afternoon? Let me see. No, this is yes, this is the last of the afternoon games. I forget what I was about to say, but yeah, Perez, I don't know, man. I mean, there's not a whole lot to dislike here, except the number of walks is concerning, though. He's not a strikeout guy. He's got 19 strikeouts in 28 and a third innings, but 10 walks. That's the main concern. He's only allowed 18 hits, though. So he's been difficult to hit, which is pretty surprising. He's allowed more than 2 earned runs in only 1 of his starts. So, yeah, I mean, he's been getting the job done, but on the other hand, I just don't really see him as like an intimidating pitcher. You know what I mean? Seattle does not have good numbers against him, though. 75 at-bats, 18 strikeouts, 8 walks, 227 average allowed, 648 OPS. So Seattle has actually not hit him well in their careers. And, I was going to say this is a pitcher-friendly ballpark, so Perez may very well pitch well here. Brian Wu is pitching for Seattle, and I am going to be off the Wu train right now, man, after we had either Seattle or the under in each of his last 2 starts, and they were like the 2 worst starts of his career. I don't know what's going on. I don't think Wu was actually bad. Like, I'm going to lean towards him pitching well again in this game, but right now he has a 4.61 ERA, 1.07 whip. That is concerning. 4.74 home ERA. Usually he is really good at home, though. But it's such a small sample size, and it's just his last 2 starts were awful. He got jacked up by St. Louis. They hit 4 home runs off him. Then he came back home, and the Royals hit 2 home runs off him. But, you know, I don't know, man. I think he's going to bounce back. Like, he's not in good form right now, so I think we probably have to avoid him, but I think he's going to bounce back. I mean, we've seen what he's done over the last few years. He's been good, and he's still young at 26. 29 strikeouts, 6 walks. He doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, but he doesn't put, like, anybody on base. 38 hits is actually a lot for him. 41 innings pitched. He usually allows even fewer hits than that, but his walk number is still fine. You know, at some point he's going to pitch better. His numbers against Atlanta are not really that good, though. In 25 at-bats, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 280 average, 748 OPS. It's a little bit concerning, but Atlanta is not that familiar with him. They only have 5 hitters who have faced him before. Like, when I first looked at this pitching matchup, I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to lean to Seattle again, because I think Wu generally is the better pitcher than Perez, but current form, not very good. Matchup numbers, not very good. You know, Seattle's around minus 135 here. It looks too easy to take Atlanta, though. That's the problem I have. Atlanta has such a good record, and you're getting them as an underdog. It looks way too easy to do it, although I think I might slightly lean to Atlanta here. But I still think this looks like an under type of game to me, though. The total's at 8, actually even 8.5 out there. Yeah, I think under makes some sense here. You got 2 good bullpens. Both starting pitchers could potentially do well here. So, yeah, under might be the better way to approach that game, but I'm staying away from it. Next game up, I will actually give out a play on this one. This is, I think, probably my favorite of the day. All my plays here are totals in baseball today. Which I know, maybe that's boring, but A's Philadelphia, we're going to go first 5 under the 4.5, and I found it straight up at minus 110, which kind of surprised me. That was at the book that starts with a B that sometimes doesn't allow me to bet there. But you can find a similar price at other places. I think you can probably get under 4.5 at about minus 120, maybe even better at some other shops, depending on what state you're in, you know what I mean? But I would say shop around. Make sure you have accounts at every book available to you. But I like the first 5 under. I'm going to exclude the bullpens here. I don't like these bullpens, so they're out of the equation for me here. A's used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Philadelphia used 1, although it was Duran. But, you know, I just don't like the bullpens well enough. Philadelphia's ranked 21st. A's 25th in bullpen, so I'm just taking them out. Offensively, the A's have hit pretty well at 8th, but I think good pitching can counter that. Phillies haven't even hit well. They're 27th in hitting, so I'm going to go with them to not hit well early in this game either. Starting pitching matchup is where this under comes in, though, because we're only going first 5. Jeffrey Springs is pitching for the A's. He's been pretty good. 3.96 ERA, 1.09 whip, and he's been particularly good on the road, 2.95 road ERA, which makes sense because the A's stadium is that horrible AAA stadium where it's very, very hitter-friendly. So better for him to just pitch on the road, even though Philadelphia is kind of a hitter-friendly ballpark as well. But I like Springs on the road. Generally, his numbers look pretty good. He's had 1 start where he got jacked up by the White Sox. That was at home, by the way. He gave up 4 home runs, so that's kind of what did that. You throw that out, he's allowed 4 or fewer earned runs in every outing, and he's actually allowed 2 or fewer in all but 1 outing. He's got a 35-12 strikeout walk ratio over the course of the season, but 33-9 in the month of April, and he's allowed way below 1 hit per inning. 30 hits allowed in 38 2/3 innings. And the home runs, like I said, he allowed 4 of them in one of his home starts. 5 of the 6 home runs he's allowed have come at home, so he's been a lot better with that on the road as well. And his numbers against Philadelphia are good. In a decent sample of 40 at-bats, he's actually done really well against them. 14 strikeouts, 1 walk, 150 batting average allowed, 521 OPS. Yes, Schwarber and Baum each have a bomb off of him, but overall, these are really, really good numbers for Springs in the matchup here, so I like that. And I like Zach Wheeler even better on the other side for the Phillies. He came back, dude. He's made 2 starts since coming back from injury, and he looks like he's his usual self already, pretty much. 2.45 ERA, 1 whip. He hasn't even pitched at home yet, but I'm not really that concerned by that. He pitched well in his first start. He had to go up against Atlanta on the road, dude, and he held them to 2 earned runs in 5 innings to get his feet wet again, so that was good. The only problem is the walks are a little bit high, but he looked better in his next start against Miami, so he's trending in the right direction. They're ramping up his pitch count a little bit slowly. He's gone 11 innings so far. He's only allowed 6 hits. 5 walks, yeah, it is concerning a little bit, but 14 walks looks really good. Nice ground ball rate so far. We know who Wheeler is, dude. He's been Philadelphia's ace for years at this point, and they're going to be a lot better now that they have him back. And his numbers against the A's are also pretty good, in 55 at-bats. The only problem is the walks. He's allowed no extra base hits, 15 strikeouts, 7 walks. Got to get that under control a little bit, but he's held them to a 182 average, 456 OPS. So I like the starting pitching matchup a lot. First 5 under in this game. The total for the full game is at 8.5, which seems a little bit high, but the bullpens are not good, so we're going first 5 here. I think we get a really nice number on this. The 4.5 I really like as a first 5 under. So, it feels so much better than 3.5. And I feel like the pitching matchup here is almost as good as what you would have with a 3.5. As far as the side, I don't know. Money's coming in on Philly a little bit. 53% of tickets on the A's, 54% of the cash on the Phillies. Obviously, there's a reason why the Phillies are about a minus 170 favorite here. Even though they're the lesser team even though they're the team with the lesser record, I should say, the odds makers are telling you Philly's actually the better team, even though their record is worse. And I told you Philly would start playing better, and they really have recently. Philly has won 6 of their last 7 games, 7 of their last 8 games, actually. And they won yesterday 9-1, which, yeah, that could mean maybe the A's show up with a little bit more intensity here, but we're not worried about the side. We're going with the total here. As far as the side, even though the A's have the better record and there's a reason why Philly's favored, you might still be paying a little bit too much of a tax on Wheeler. Like, I could see an argument for playing the A's here, just because they're getting priced as a big underdog, and Springs might be able to duel Wheeler here. Wheeler's just the name brand, if you will, you know what I mean? But we're going under first 5 there. All right. You like that? Thank you. All right. It better win. You're an Atlanta fan? I think I knew that. Garrett, what's up, man? For some reason, I thought that was Caleb. You both have similar-looking avatars. Hell yeah. That's right, Garrett, you're a Braves fan. Well, you must be happy about what they are doing. Dude, I just want the Yankees to lose, man, but the Yankees are so clearly the best team in the American League. It just pisses me off, man. There's nothing we could do about it. The Yankees have like a plus 70-something run differential in the American League, and the next best run differential, I think, is like Tampa Bay at like plus 17 or something like that. It's just so bad. You were for the Rangers? Oh, I meant Garrett. Garrett is an Atlanta fan, I guess, because he's a Carolina sports fan, but they don't have a baseball team. Cole from Tower Gang is an Atlanta Braves fan as well. They're the closest geographically to him in Alabama, I suppose. The Rangers, I mean, they got some good stuff going on in their pitching, at least. All right. What's next? Baltimore, Miami. Let me see. Pete, what's up, everybody? Zach Wheeler. Wait, Zach Wheeler was born in a ballpark? What? Mr. Penzi, I'm ignoring that. You live near Dallas. The Rangers underperformed last year, man. They were a lot better than their outcome last year. I think they're a pretty good team. They have really good pitching, which is I'm gonna give out a play on that, and that's gonna factor into it. So you probably already know what I'm doing. This game is not a play for me. Miami's lost 3 games in a row. They did lose to Baltimore yesterday, 9-7. This series continues tomorrow. So a lot of these night games are middle games of the series. So a lot of these night games have the series continuing tomorrow. Because a lot of these teams are off on Monday. So they started their series yesterday. Miami used 5 relief pitchers yesterday, which is quite a few, although a couple of them for single digits. Baltimore, same thing, 5 relief pitchers. But Miami's bullpen is the better of the two. We got Miami ranked actually 5th in bullpen whip right now. Pretty good. The Orioles are 18th. So, yes, we have a bullpen advantage on the Miami side here. Miami 13th in offense, so they're still hitting all right. Baltimore 17th. Miami's fallen off a bit offensively, though. I think you could definitely make the argument Baltimore is the better offense here. Brandon Young is listed as a starter for Baltimore here. He has not been very good. 6.14 ERA, 1.64 whip. I feel like this guy used to be in the Rangers organization, but maybe I'm getting that wrong. But he has not been good so far. He's only made 3 starts, so, and really one bad one is just skewing his numbers, so maybe you give him a pass for it. He had one start where he gave up 10 runs against Houston, but 6 of them were unearned. So obviously the defense, he just couldn't get out of whatever inning that was. 9 strikeouts, 5 walks is not a good ratio though, and 19 hits allowed in 14 2/3 innings. Those are not good numbers, but if you throw out that start against Houston, he did pitch fairly well against both the Red Sox and the White Sox. Is Young as bad as his numbers look? I don't think so. Is he that good? I also don't think so. Numbers against Miami are not very good, although they only have 12 at-bats against him. They have 4 home runs against him. 3 of them are from Stowers. Is that how you pronounce his name? He's 3 for 3 with 3 home runs off him, which is ridiculous. And Lopez has 1 home run off him, but he's allowed a .417 average to them, 1833 OPS, 2.0 strikeout walk ratio. I don't think we can really trust Young here. Yuri Perez is pitching for the Marlins. He's not had the greatest season so far, 4.46 ERA, 1.38 whip. He's been pretty good at home, though, 2.74 home ERA. He's been significantly better at home. He has to get his walk numbers down. I mean, that's always been the issue with him is the wildness, and it's continuing to happen. He's got 39 strikeouts, 16 walks, and 34 hits allowed in 36 1/3 innings. So none of those numbers are really bad except for the walks, and 6 home runs allowed is not that great. He's faced some pretty potent offenses, though. So, I do like Perez. I think he is good. He does have good stuff. His pitching motion is really weird, and he's 6'8", so he tends to be a little bit difficult to pick up. Numbers against Baltimore are not very good, but it's in a very limited 10 at-bat sample size, and all the damage is from Pete Alonso, who's 3 for 4 with a home run and a walk against him. He's got 1 strikeout, 2 walks against all of the Baltimore hitters that he's faced. 300 batting average, allowed 1,085 OPS against them. I think I probably prefer Miami in that game to finally get a win here. He's from Smyrna, Georgia. Campbell High. All right. So he went to a high school that's very close to the same. That is interesting. So, dude, that means we're talking about Zach Wheeler, right? So that means Wheeler, but he's pitching for one of the biggest rivals of the Braves right now, a divisional rival of them, and he's a Braves hometown guy, but he pitches for the Phillies. Oh, man. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. You could throw a stone a half mile? Hell yeah. All right. Yes, anyway, this game, I'm going to lean to Miami slightly. The money looks like it's all coming in on Baltimore. I don't know about that. Miami's in about the minus 130 price range here. 54% of the tickets are on Miami. 76% of the cash on Baltimore. And yes, pregame's website is still not fixed, by the way. I don't know when it's going to happen. I've seen it happen before where it's been down like this, but not for over a week like this. It's ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, I like Perez over Young. I think he's the more solidified pitcher. He's young. He's younger than Young. So, bad naming on Young. Young is the older of the pitchers. But, yeah, I don't know. I think Perez is the more proven pitcher, even though he's the younger pitcher. So, all right. And Miami has the better bullpen as well. Red Sox at Detroit. The Red Sox are on the verge of a sweep here, which is hilarious because coming into this series, you were like, oh, my God, they're going to have to face Skubal and Valdez. And then what happened was Skubal didn't pitch. He got scratched from the game. Then it was Framber Valdez yesterday against the Red Sox using an opener in front of Brian Bayo. And the opener, Moran, wasn't even good in that role. He gave up 2 runs, but the Red Sox had already staked him to a 3-run lead. Framber Valdez was horrible in the game, and then I think he got thrown out of the game because after he gave up back-to-back home runs, he threw at Trevor Story. Total bullshit. Dude, Valdez is such a head case, dude. He did a similar thing last year when he was on Houston, I think against the Yankees maybe, after he gave up a grand slam. He just completely lost his cool and threw at one of their hitters too. It's completely insane, dude. This guy is out of his mind, out of control. And when things go bad, when Valdez is pitching well, yeah, he's pitching well, but when things start going bad, he completely unravels. He goes on tilt more than any other pitcher that I've seen. And there was a bench clearing brawl. He got thrown out of the game. I think multiple people got thrown out of the game. It was an insane game. The Red Sox wound up winning the game 10-3. So the Red Sox actually had some offense yesterday, including a few home runs. But now the Red Sox might be looking ahead to Tampa Bay, who they have on deck here. Big divisional series. The Red Sox have already won this series. Although, hilariously, this is the game. If you went into this, going into this series, if you were going to guess, if I was going to tell you the Red Sox were going to win one of these games in the series, you would have to guess it was going to be this one today. Because there's no way that you would guess that they would beat Skubal, but then Skubal got pulled, and Tolley actually pitched really well in that game. Then the next game was going to be a Bayo game against Valdez. That looked like an automatic Red Sox loss. Now this game, the Red Sox have the starting pitching edge, so that means they're probably going to lose, right? That's just the way that it works, man. I have some conflicting opinions on this game because the situation does look like it favors Detroit with the Red Sox on the verge of the sweep. Detroit still is a pretty good home team, man. They're still 12-5 at home. So Red Sox being able to sweep this would be pretty insane. Although the pitching matchup definitely does favor the Red Sox here, though. The Red Sox also have the better bullpen. They're ranked 9th in bullpen right now. Detroit is 20th. Red Sox do not have the better offense. Detroit is 7th in offense. The Red Sox are 28th. Although maybe their offense will start moving up a little bit. Red Sox used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. One of them was in the opening role, Moran, and then Bayo actually gave them 7 really good innings. So, dude, I think Bayo, maybe coming in a follower role like that, maybe it takes the pressure off of him. I don't know. But I think he needs to come in already having a lead or something. I don't know. Although when he came in, I think the lead was only 3-2, though. Actually, I might be wrong about that. The Red Sox might have staked him to some more runs in the second inning. I don't remember. Anyway, all the Red Sox better relievers are pretty much available here. Detroit's bullpen is not as good, and they used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. So, yeah, the Red Sox have a bullpen edge. Detroit does have a hitting edge, but Sonny Gray is back for the Red Sox. He is off the DL. Seems like he's ready because he got hurt in his last game. He had to exit early against Detroit, by the way. So, interestingly, that was at Fenway. He might get up for this game, dude. Gray, he had a shortened start, and he gets to basically pick up right where he left off and face the same team again. Maybe Gray will get up for that, but these veteran pitchers, Gray is definitely a veteran. When they come back from injury, you don't usually have to worry about them trying to get back into form or whatever, you know what I mean? They've pitched in the league for so long that they're usually pumped up and they're ready to go, and a lot of times they get a little bit overlooked because people tend to want to tread lightly when they're coming back from injury. But I don't think his injury was that serious. I don't even know what it was. It was some leg strain or something, if I remember correctly. He's got a 4.3 ERA this year, 1.3 WHIP. Those numbers aren't great, but they're also being skewed because he started off he had one bad start at Cincinnati, and then he had one other bad start at Minnesota. But yes, that does mean you do have to worry about him on the road. His ERA on the road is 9, so that does worry me. So that is one concern that I have with backing the Red Sox here. Overall, he only has 13 strikeouts in 23 innings, though, 5 walks, 25 hits. The walk number is really low, so his command has been all right, but he's just not fooling hitters anymore. But it looks like he's still kind of able to work his way through these games anyway. And his numbers against the Tigers are actually pretty good in his career. He faced them a decent amount because he was on Minnesota for a while. They have 62 at-bats against him. He's got 24 strikeouts against him and 3 walks, 194 average allowed and 489 OPS. Gray, yeah, he has good numbers against Detroit throughout his career, but we have to also take into account that some of those numbers were a few years in the past, you know what I mean? So we have to try to gauge what is Gray right now. But I think whatever that is still better than Jack Flaherty, who I don't think is very good at all right now. 5.9 ERA, 1.79 whip. He's been worse at home, 6.59 home ERA. We faded him in the last game, and he did not do well, but Texas almost blew the game on us. Texas was out to a 4-0 lead in that game, and then they had to break the 4-4 tie late in the game. But Texas's bullpen is good. They let us down yesterday, but they are good. But yes, we got the win fading Flaherty in his last outing is what I'm saying. He's been pretty bad, man. He's given up 10 earned runs over his last 2 outings, which only amounted to a total of 5 2/3 innings pitched. He's got a ton of walks this year. 32 strikeouts in 29 innings is a pretty good rate, but 25 walks is unbelievable. Almost 1 walk an inning, and then 27 hits isn't that bad, but the walks are just insane. He's walked multiple guys in every outing, 3 or more in all but 1 outing, and that was a very short 2-inning outing where he did that. So his walk rate is unbelievably high, and his numbers are not very good against the Red Sox. In 71 at-bats, 26 strikeouts, 10 walks, 282 batting average allowed, 807 OPS. Not good numbers against the Red Sox, man. So Gray does have the better of the matchup here. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say about it, but I'm going to lean to the Red Sox here just because I think the matchup, and the money seems to agree with it, but I think the matchup might outweigh the situation. I tend to think that way in baseball, though maybe I shouldn't think that way, but 57% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the Red Sox. Detroit's at about -115. Yeah, we don't know exactly what we're going to get out of Gray here. His bad road numbers do worry me. And the fact that the Tigers are trying to avoid getting swept here. That's what's keeping me off of this a little bit, but I do like the Red Sox here. I was considering putting that on my card. The other one that I liked that was closer to making my card was the Dodgers, by the way, for what that's worth. The Dodgers run line, I mean. All right. How many more games we got? We have 6 more games. The next one up is another one of my plays. The next 2 actually are going to be. I've got totals in all these games here, man. I'm going to talk about one, take a break, and then talk about the other, I suppose. This next game is Minnesota-Washington on ESPN Unlimited. These teams are continuing the series tomorrow. I thought it was going to be an under early in the game yesterday, and that did not happen at all. We had a really high score, 11-3, Minnesota win. Washington continues to give up a ton of runs at home. Washington, they're number 1 in Major League Baseball in runs allowed at home. Not good for Washington. Their bullpen is bad. Their starting pitching is bad. So you probably know where I'm going with this. Washington used 2 relievers yesterday, but I don't even think that's helpful enough, man. Even if their bullpen is rested, they're bad. Minnesota's bullpen used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Also bad. Minnesota's ranked 28th in bullpen whip, and the Nationals are 22nd. 2 bad bullpens here. These offenses are somewhat capable, I would say. Minnesota, I mean, they've fallen off a little bit. Minnesota is still 12th, though. And Washington has dropped more. Washington spent a lot of the season in the top 10, and now they're 20th. But these offenses are both pretty capable. And we're looking at the starting pitching here. Bailey Ober is pitching for Minnesota. I think he is pretty good right now, but Ober, dude, he just has starts where he just is awful. Like, he's a real roller coaster. Like, he looks really, really good at times, and then he looks like one of the worst pitchers in baseball at other times. And yes, this season it's been mostly good. 3.55 ERA, 1.13 whip. And he was the reason why I was considering maybe not adding this to my card, which I should probably put up what my play is here, but you already know what it is. We're going over the 9.5 in this one. I found it at even money out there, so I was a little bit concerned by the fact that the juice looked like it was on the under side of this. I didn't see a 9 anywhere, though. Obviously, 9 is preferable. If you might be able to wait and find a 9 on this, because that's definitely preferable, to go over that key number of 9, because it might land exactly 9. Now, an over with Ober. How about that? Now, yes, Ober's pitched well, but he hasn't been quite as good on the road. 4.5 road ERA, so he's a little bit more fadeable on the road. Now, yes, he's pitching well. He's in pretty good form right now. He's allowed 4 or fewer earned runs in every outing, but his overall numbers kind of suggest that he's not this good. 29 strikeouts and 13 walks in 38 innings is not really that good. 30 hits allowed. And while, yes, he's obviously capable of pitching well because he's done that most of the season, he hits these spurts where he does really bad, dude. And, like, it happened last year. Like, he pitched well early in the season. I think a lot of times he is, I'm trying to remember, because I think I remember him being really bad a lot early in the season, then he gets a little bit better, and then he gets worse again. But this year, maybe it's going to be the opposite, but I don't know. But he's a very streaky pitcher. Let's just put it that way. And against Washington, yeah, they don't have a whole lot of experience against him, so that's what worries me a little bit about this over. 10 at-bats against them, 300 batting average, though, 817 OPS, 2.2 strikeout walk ratio. But I think this offense is capable of hitting Ober. If you wanted to go Minnesota over their team total, again, today you could do it that way too, but they did score 11 runs yesterday. But Washington, again, they allow the most runs at home in baseball, and that's where the heavy lifting is going to have to happen, and I think it can with Miles Mikolas pitching for Washington. This game could get really out of hand. He's been awful. 8.23 ERA, 1.72 whip. He has a 10.32 ERA at home. Really bad stuff. 19-11 strikeout walk ratio, 8 home runs allowed, and 36 hits allowed in 27 1/3 innings. There's nothing to like about any of this. And then against Minnesota, he also does not have good numbers in a 65 at-bat sample size, with Josh Bell being pretty familiar with him because they were both in the National League. 15 strikeouts, 7 walks against them, 308 batting average allowed, 949 OPS. So Mikolas, he has really bad numbers here. Plus, he's going to be followed up by a bad bullpen. Both bullpens are bad here. Over is my play here. The total is also high for a reason, Let me see. It looks like the money's agreeing, basically. 60% of tickets on the under, 52% of the cash on the over. One of the books, the book with the Lion, has a 9 juiced at -130 to the over. I probably wouldn't pay -130, but like -120 or maybe even -125 I might do. I don't know. I should have stricter rules for like what is this half run actually worth, but I don't know. This is just the way that I do it. But we'll go with over in this game. Ober was really my only concern, that Ober might pitch well enough to kind of blow this thing up, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, man. But that is the one concern with that play, I suppose. Maybe I should just be limiting this to the A's, Philly, and that's it, because that's my favorite of these 3 plays. All right, I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to talk about, I have a play in Rangers-Yankees as well, which might be better, although people are going to like it probably less. It's going to be one of those plays that the public wouldn't want to stomach. So you probably know what it is. I mean, you already know it's a total, but I'll be right back. I'm going to try to find, where's the market read on this. I don't know. You probably can't even read this because it's too zoomed in or whatever, but I don't know. I was trying to find where's the Yankees game? There it is. All right, I'm going to be right back. All right, Yankees and Texas. This game we're going under 8.5 here. That's also at even money, which does worry me a little bit that the over seems to be getting a little bit of money on the 8.5. If you can find an under 9, obviously that's more preferable here. And maybe I should be worried a little bit that the total is that high, but yes, it's Yankee Stadium. We're looking at one really good offense with the Yankees here, and Yankee Stadium is hitter-friendly. This game is on MLB Network and Amazon Prime, by the way. The Yankees won yesterday, which did not, I was not happy about that for any reason at all. The Yankees used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Texas used 2. I still like Texas's bullpen better, but that's part of the handicap is that neither of these bullpens are bad. Texas is number 2 right now. The Yankees are 11th. The Yankees, their bullpen not quite as rested here, but I think both bullpens are fine enough that we can factor them into this under, and we're repeating what we did the last time with Eovaldi, even though that was in Texas, I know. Eovaldi is pitching for the Rangers here. Oh, and by the way, team hitting, the Yankees are 2nd right now, and Texas is 25th. So, Texas's offense has not been good. Now, we won with an under on Eovaldi versus Elmer, who was the guy who pitched yesterday, Elmer Rodriguez. We won on an under in that game. In Texas, though, where everything is low scoring in Texas. But Eovaldi, one of the reasons why I liked that was I thought Eovaldi would pitch well because he has a good track record against the Yankees. He was in a pitcher-friendly park, and his numbers make him look a lot worse than he actually is. He was excellent last year. His numbers right now, 4.76 ERA, 1.34 whip. I know those are not good, but I think he's better than this. And while, yes, he's not good on the road, so that does worry me a little bit. 5.66 road ERA. He's coming off of a 7-inning shutout against the Yankees. And while, that means the Yankees just saw him, so they might be able to hit him this time. I don't think that's really how it works, although, yes, they did do that to DeGrom yesterday. But Eovaldi does have good numbers against them, and they've seen him a ton, so it's not like they're unfamiliar with them. They've seen him so many times that I don't think seeing him recently matters that much. 153 at-bats, 37-7 strikeout walk ratio, 209 batting average allowed, 544 OPS. So I like Eovaldi to pitch well enough here. And I also like Will Warren to pitch well on the other side for the Yankees. 2.39 ERA, 1.06 whip. He's been pretty good both home and away. Yet last year he was significantly better at home, and he is slightly better at home this year. 2.3 ERA. He's been way better than people think. Again, the other reason I like this under is because Eovaldi, his numbers look bad on the surface, and Will Warren, people still just don't pay attention to this guy. But his numbers are really good. 46-8 strikeout walk ratio, 32 hits allowed in 37 2/3 innings, 2.39 ERA, 1.06 whip. I think I already said that, but and the Yankees have won all but one of his starts. He's allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in every outing. So we're going to go with Warren as part of this equation, obviously. Texas did not just face him, by the way. So yes, the Yankees probably are going to win this game, but Texas only has 17 at-bats against Will Warren. They have 1 extra base hit, a double from Jock Peterson, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, 176 batting average allowed, 458 OPS. Under is my play here. Let me zoom in on this here. The money looks like it is coming in that way. 80% of tickets, 93% of the cash on the under. Total, I'm not going to find a 9 on this. It is 8 juice to the over, 8.5, juice to the over right now. That's just the way that it is. We're going under in that game, though. Probably not going to find a 9 on it. Yeah, the totals. Well, thank you, sir. I'm going to talk about hockey and basketball as well in a second. Finishing these games here, we have 4 more games here. Cincinnati at the Cubs. The Cubs have clearly been the better team in the series. Cubs have won 7 straight games or whatever, but I told you going into, the Cubs have only won each game by 1 run, so Cincinnati's luck is running out. But I told you the Cubs are actually significantly better than the Reds. The Reds had won so many one-run games, dude. The Reds won like their first 7 one-run games of the season, and they'd won a lot of 2-run games. Now the luck is starting to turn around on them, losing 2 one-run games in the series. Now, yes, it means the Reds might show up for this game, but I think the series continues tomorrow. Yes, it does. So this is a 4-game series, but the Cubs have taken the first 2. Maybe that means the Cubs are going to start taking Cincinnati a little more lightly. Cubs are now atop the division as well. Cubs used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, but Cincinnati's bullpen is pretty bad. Cincinnati used, 5, but they only used a couple of them for a couple of pitches. But Pagan was one of them, and he got hurt, so they're having to bring somebody else up. So this bullpen is kind of a mess for the Reds right now. I mean, they got some guys out of the bullpen right now, and the Reds are second worst. They're 29th in bullpen whip. Their ERA is not as bad as the other teams around them, but this bullpen is very much struggling right now. Whereas the Cubs bullpen is ranked 4th. So the Cubs definitely have the better bullpen. The Cubs have a significantly better offense as well, ranked 4th offensively with the Reds 26th. So yeah, I don't think we could buy this Reds hot start at all. It was one of the best starts in the Reds team history, by the way, but I have been telling you all along, Cubs are the best team in this division. I think Cincinnati and St. Louis are the 2 worst teams in this division right now. So I think that's what is going to wind up happening. Now, starting pitching here, it's interesting because you look at, on the surface, you're like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with Brady Singer here. He hasn't been good for the Reds. 5.57 ERA, 1.73 whip. He's been really bad on the road. 7.41 road ERA, which is kind of surprising because Cincinnati is a hitter-friendly ballpark, but he's been way better in that stadium since the Reds got him. He doesn't do well on the road. He's not really pitching that well right now. He just got beat up by Pittsburgh in his last outing. Overall numbers, his strikeout rate is very low. 20 strikeouts in 32 1/3 innings. That's not good. He's allowed a ton of hits. 47 hits, 9 walks isn't that bad, but the rest of these numbers are bad. 7 home runs allowed as well, and a decent amount of them on the road too. He's just not pitching well, but his numbers against the Cubs are actually good. In 49 at-bats, 8 strikeouts, 5 walks. That's not good, but 224 batting average allowed, 541 OPS, and only 1 extra base hit, which is a Conforto double. So Singer actually does have a decent matchup here, but he's not pitching well at all, so I don't see how you can really trust him. Colin Ray is pitching for the Cubs, 4.41 ERA, 1.32 whip. He's been pretty good at home, 3 ERA at home. You know, I just don't think Ray is really that good. I mean, his numbers are very mediocre here. He did, kind of change some things because he actually wasn't doing well in Major League Baseball, and he actually went and pitched in Japan for a while, and then he came back, and he had changed his stuff a bit, and he was a bit different, a little bit better. His overall numbers are really not too bad here, though. 30 strikeouts in 32 2/3 innings. 9 walks, 34 hits allowed. None of that is really that bad. He's allowed more than 2 earned runs only twice this season and more than 3 only once, and it was against the Dodgers on the road. So he has actually been all right. His numbers against the Reds are not really that good, though. 119 at-bats, 31.6 strikeout walk ratio. That is definitely good, but 269 batting average allowed, 823 OPS. None of that is good. Benson and De La Cruz both have pretty powerful numbers against him, and Steer does well against him as well. Steer, by the way, in one of those games where we had the Reds not that long ago, Steer hit 3 home runs in that game, maybe 4. Steer was steering us in the right direction on that one. So what do we do with a game like this? I don't know, man. I mean, the matchup numbers sort of support Singer here, but the Cubs are just the better team in so many ways. I think if you're going to try to go with the Reds, you have to go first 5 innings here. I don't want anything to do with that bullpen of theirs. The money seems to be indicating on the Reds. 65% of tickets on the Cubs here, 84% of the cash on the Reds. Interestingly, again, if you do that and you take the Reds first 5 innings, maybe plus a half run or something might be the way to do it. Maybe Singer does okay in this matchup. The total's at 8, which basically seems to indicate that the wind is not too much of a factor or maybe slightly blowing in Wrigley. The total always varies drastically in the stadium because of the wind. The Cubs are about a minus 160-something favorite for the game here. And the Cubs do have the better bullpen, though, so I could see the Cubs still pulling this out late in the game, but remains to be seen. I don't want anything to do with the game. Cleveland at Kansas City. Kansas City's already won 2 games in the series. They've won 4 games in a row. Zach might show up in the chat right now. The Royals actually playing pretty well right now. These teams are continuing tomorrow, I believe, as well. Yeah, they play a 4th game tomorrow in the series, so it's a 4-game series. Kansas City's already 2-0 in the series, which might mean that you're going to get Cleveland showing up a little bit harder in this game, but I don't know. Cleveland only used 1 relief pitcher yesterday. Kansas City used 3. As far as the bullpens are concerned, Cleveland, I think, is the better bullpen. They're ranked 10th right now, although their ERA is a bit higher than you would like to see. Kansas City's bullpen was really bad early on, but they've actually gotten better recently. They're 23rd now on the season, but better recently, though, so something to keep in mind there. Still probably Cleveland does have the better bullpen, though. Kansas City probably has the better offense. They're up to 13th now, and their home stadium is now less pitcher-friendly because they moved the walls in after last year, which I kind of hate that. I like pitching. I think this trend towards we need as much offense as possible. The ghost runners really need to go away, though. I don't really care that much about Kansas City moving their walls in. But the ghost runners, that's all some bullshit. Anyway, Cleveland's offense has been pretty bad at 23rd. So Kansas City has the better offense. Joey Cantillo is pitching for Cleveland. Nice 3.67 ERA, but a 1.4 whip is not very good. He's bad on the road as well, or not as good on the road. 4.34 road ERA. That whip indicates that his ERA should be higher, though. He's walked too many guys. He has a decent strikeout rate, 36 strikeouts in 34 and a third innings, 32 hits allowed. Nothing really bad about any of that, but 16 walks has kind of been the issue. He has multiple walks in every outing except one. That's kind of a problem. Against Kansas City, he does have good numbers, though, in 54 at-bats, 15-4 strikeout walk ratio, 148 average allowed, 429 OPS. Cantillo, he's done pretty well against the Royals, so he does have a good matchup here. He is going up against Cole Reagans, who might be coming back into form, man. Like, I keep saying he's going to be back in form. Like, we're talking about a guy that used to be Kansas City's ace, and he's still only 28, and yes, he had a major injury issue. He had surgery, whatever. His numbers are not good right now. 5.29 ERA, 1.45 whip. But he's been really good at home so far. 0.75 ERA at home, although it's in a very limited sample. Both of his home starts were very good, actually. His 2 best starts of the season. He did have a little bit of a draw. He fell back a little bit in his game against Seattle, and we lost on the under in that game, which sucked. Still had 8 strikeouts, though, so his strikeout rate is still quite good. 41 strikeouts in 32 and a third innings and only 26 hits allowed. So to me, it looks like, yes, he is going out there and fooling hitters, but he's been wild, 21 walks, and he's allowed an enormous amount of home runs, 10 home runs, but 3 of those were in his opener against Atlanta. I think he might pitch well here. I expect that he is going to start pitching better as well, which we've seen some signs of that so far. And his numbers against Cleveland are good in 56 at-bats, 17-6 strikeout walk ratio, 214 average allowed, 594 OPS. I think I would go under in this game. You might be able to go full game with it, too. Kansas City's bullpen has been better as of late, at least. The total is really low for a reason. It's 7.5, but you're still getting under that key number, 7.5. The money isn't really telling us much. 91% of the tickets and cash on the under. I don't know about that. The money looks like it's also hitting Kansas City a little bit. They're in the minus 130 range, 59% of the cash on them, 56% of the tickets on Cleveland. I don't really understand that. You would think the public would not want Cleveland right now because they haven't been playing well recently. I don't know. I don't have that good of a feel. For the side, maybe I would lean to Kansas City just because I think Reagans, when he's at his best, he's better than Cantillo. But I think under is probably my preference in that game. First 5 under makes some sense as well, but, the bullpens might be okay enough that you can leave them in. Mets at Colorado. This game got postponed yesterday, and I think what happened was the schedule makers added a game tomorrow, so I think they were not going to be playing tomorrow. I think both teams are going to be off. Now they have to play tomorrow, so that's something to keep in mind, that on Friday, the Mets and Colorado might have a bad scheduling spot on Friday because they initially were not supposed to play on Thursday, tomorrow, but now they will because yesterday's game got rained out. But that means they're both rested coming into this game, but of course, they both have that same advantage here. The Mets won the first game of the series 2 days ago, 4-2 in Coors Field. That means both bullpens are rested here. The Mets bullpen has actually been fairly good. They're at 8th in bullpen whip. The Rockies are 17th. Not a very trustworthy Rocky bullpen. The Mets have not been good offensively. They're dead last still at 30th. The Rockies have been a bit better. They are 11th in offense. And while I don't think they're that good, they are a decent offense at home, though. But they're going to have to go up against Freddie Peralta. The same pitching matchup scheduled yesterday is what the pitching matchup is today. They're using the pitchers that were scheduled yesterday. Peralta's pretty good. Pitching for the Mets here, 3.52 ERA, 1.2 whip. Not bad. He's been a little bit better on the road, 3.27 road ERA. But he's going to have to pitch at Coors Field here, although I don't think he's going to be that intimidated by that. Although he did just face Colorado at home in that series 2 series ago. And by the way, Colorado swept that series, so maybe the Mets will be a little bit extra motivated in this series here after being swept at home by Colorado, which is kind of embarrassing, even though Colorado might be a little bit better this year. Peralta did okay in that start. Again, the Mets just gave him no run support. He's lost 5 of his last 6 outings, but most of it is because he gets no run support. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in every outing, including only 2 against the Rockies in that outing. He's got 42 strikeouts in 38 1/3 innings. 16 walks is a little bit high. 30 hits allowed is not bad. Generally, he is pretty good. Just the walks tend to be a little bit high from him. Numbers against Colorado are not that good. In 60 at-bats, 20-8 strikeout walk ratio, 250 average, 822 OPS. You'd like to see that OPS be a little bit lower, but he is just generally, he's the way better pitcher over at Michael Lorenzen, who's pitching for the Rockies. 6.09 ERA, 1.76 whip. He's had some real problems at home, which makes sense because Coors Field is not friendly to pitchers. 8.56 home ERA. I don't really know why they got Lorenzen. I don't know, man, but his fly ball rate hasn't been that extreme this year, so I don't know, but his overall number's not great. 24 strikeouts, not a high strikeout rate in 34 innings. 9 walks allowed is not that bad, but he's allowed 51 hits, which is really bad. He's getting hit around pretty easily. He did actually pitch well at the Mets, though, during that last series. He went 7 innings along 1 earned run. He actually outpitched Peralta in that game. Take from that what you want to. I don't think he is better than Peralta, though. His numbers against the Mets are actually good, though, so maybe this is just a good matchup for him. 65 career at-bats, 10 strikeouts, 2 walks, 246 batting average allowed, 623 OPS allowed. So, looking at the market here, if you put a lot of weight into the matchup, you can make an argument for taking Colorado here. The money looks like it's agreeing. 60% of tickets, 89% of the cash on Colorado. The Mets being at about minus 165. That is pretty pricey on the Mets there. Totals at 9.5. I mean, that's a little bit on the lower side for a Coors Field game. I don't really have a good gauge on the total here, but you can make the argument for Colorado, but I think if you want Colorado, I would go first 5 innings with it and go with Lorenzen to just take advantage of the matchup and keep the game close against Peralta. You might be able to get them at plus a half run or something because I don't want Colorado's bullpen against the Mets bullpen. Those are my thoughts there. And then Pittsburgh at Arizona. Arizona, I thought, was in a bad spot yesterday in the return home spot, and they still won 9-0. I mean, I thought Bubba Chandler was the better pitcher in that matchup against the other Erod, the OG Erod, Eduardo Rodriguez, but that was not the case. Bubba Chandler looks like he didn't do well in that game. Maybe Pittsburgh swings it around here, though, because they do have Paul Skenes pitching in this game. Coming off a 9-0 loss, that probably is going to motivate you a little bit. Pittsburgh used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Arizona used 2. I don't like Arizona's bullpen, even though they're ranked 6th. Their ERA is enormous. It's almost a 5. So I just don't trust this Arizona bullpen, man. Pittsburgh's ERA is lower than that, slightly above 4, although they're ranked 13th right now. I actually think they probably are the slightly better bullpen. Arizona's ranked 9th in offense. Pittsburgh is also actually 9th. They're both tied. Do with that information what you want. I think Arizona's offense is probably a little bit better, but Paul Skenes is definitely the better of these two pitchers here. He's got a 3.18 ERA, which is actually high for Skenes, 0.85 whip on the season, but his ERA is being skewed by that one bad outing early in the season. He wasn't that good in his last outing either against St. Louis, but I think he bounces back. I mean, he's Paul Skenes. He still only allowed 3 earned runs in that one. He'd allowed 1 or 0 earned runs in 5 starts in a row before that. Arizona is a hitter-friendly environment, but Paul Skenes, I mean, Skenes is Skenes. I expect him to do well. I mean, it's just hard to figure out which games you think he's actually not going to do well in, because generally he will do well. Numbers against Arizona are pretty good in 50 at-bats, 12 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 under batting average allowed, 571 OPS. Really all the damage is coming from Arenado, who's 5 for 14 with a home run and a double off him. Overall, good numbers from Skenes. Michael Soroka is pitching for the Diamondbacks here. His numbers have not been that good. 4.7 ERA, 1.43 whip, 1.64 ERA at home, though, so he's been way better at home. But his numbers are just being skewed by one really bad outing in his last outing against Milwaukee. He got totally jacked up in that game at Milwaukee. But now that he's back at home where he's pitched really well, even though it is a hitter-friendly environment, I think he might actually do okay. 36 strikeouts here in 30 2/3 innings, but 35 hits allowed is a problem. 9 walks isn't that bad, but 35 hits, he's definitely too hittable. But then again, most of that was because of that one bad start against Milwaukee. Numbers against Pittsburgh are good in 22 at-bats, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, 227 batting average, 579 OPS. So this looks like it might have the makings of more of a pitching duel here. Skenes, by the way, has not been as good on the road, 4.26 road ERA. But again, that's because of that one start against the Mets. It's just skewing his numbers a bit. So, yeah, I think an under might be the way to look at this game. I don't like the bullpens, though, so I think first 5 under is probably what I would do in this game. The total is pretty low. It's around 8, 7.5. You're probably looking at about a 3.5 in the first 5. Maybe you'll find a 4. Skenes, you're usually not going to find anything above a 3.5 on the first 5, but maybe because it's against Arizona, in Arizona, maybe you'll find like a 4 on this. 75% of the tickets are on the under, and 92% of the cash on the under. The money is also backing Pittsburgh a little bit. 54% of tickets are on Arizona, 53% of the cash on Pittsburgh. I can't really disagree with it, but, I mean, you pretty much know that you're going to have to pay a price for Paul Skenes. Usually this price is kind of palatable. You can find about a -125 out there, and you do get Paul Skenes if you do it. You get the better pitcher, probably the better bullpen, so I don't really disagree. And Pittsburgh in a bounce back spot. Don't disagree with that, but I think I prefer first 5 under in that game. Okay. Let's go to hockey. I think there are 2 hockey games here. First one up is Montreal and Buffalo. Both these games are TNT, True TV, whatever, HBO Max. This game, this is the start of the series here. This is an interesting series. Now, the first thing that I thought about was Montreal is coming off one of the most misleading results you'll ever see. They just upset Tampa Bay on the road in a game 7, 2-1, and they got outshot in the game 29-9. They had no shots in the second period. I already talked about this on my show. It's like it was historic. They're the only team to ever win a playoff game with that few shots in the game. And they set a record for fewest shots in a period. Never been done before. 0 shots in an entire period in the second period of the game. And they had 2 power plays as well. But the physicality was on their side. They out-hit Tampa Bay and they out-face-off them. So even though it was a misleading result, I kind of lean Buffalo in this game. There are a few things that concern me. Now, Buffalo, are they going to be rusty at all because they last played on Friday. But that's not too much rest, I don't think. Montreal, I think, played on Sunday, so Montreal does have more momentum on their side still. So I like Buffalo in this game because I think Montreal, that was just a misleading Game 7 result still, but I worry a little bit. Maybe Buffalo is a little bit unrested here. Now, Montreal is having to travel up here to Buffalo from Tampa Bay with less time. Buffalo is only coming in for Boston, and they've had a lot of time off, so, but that series is a little bit misleading against the Bruins as well, though the Bruins, kind of out-physicaled Buffalo. So, this series, I didn't think either team was going to be here. I don't think Buffalo is a very good 1 seed. Both of these teams are inexperienced when it comes to playoffs. So I think Carolina pretty clearly is going to win the Eastern Conference here at this point. I would be shocked if Carolina should get through the series they're in right now, and then I would be shocked if they lose to either of these teams, to be honest. Carolina's just that much better, and Carolina's kryptonite, the Florida Panthers, are not in the playoff field this year. So, and unfortunately, I didn't pick them as my champion. They were my second choice as far as a leverage play behind Tampa Bay. Kind of pissed about that. Anyway, this game, I like Buffalo here. I think Montreal's win was a bit more misleading. I think Montreal maybe looked a little bit better. Nobody's going to care that much that Buffalo won a series against a wild card Boston team, even though Boston does have a lot of weight behind their name. Montreal, Tampa Bay, that just looks a lot better. Tampa Bay is a very experienced team that has been in the playoffs every year recently. So I think Montreal doing that will get more credit for that. Now, looking at what these teams did during the regular season series, I believe they split 2-2. The Canadiens won the first game at home by 2. The Sabres won the next game at home by 2. Sabres then won on the road by 2. And then the Canadiens won on the road by 2. But I believe every one of these games had an empty net goal at the end of it. Fucking empty net goals, man. I'm pretty sure they all had empty net goals at the end. And when I looked into these matchups, the Canadiens were actually the more physical team. So that's something to keep in mind. It seems like, physicality does matter in the playoffs, and Montreal might have an advantage in that department. And, Dobes might actually be a better goaltender than Buffalo using, who's Buffalo even using? I don't even know. They used Luukkonen in the first 2 games of the series against Boston, and they switched to Lyon and Leon and did a lot better. So I guess they're going to continue using him. But I don't know. Buffalo seems to not really have their goaltender situation totally put away. Maybe they do after 4 games where they won 3 of them, but I don't know, man. So I do like Buffalo here, but it's not enough for me to jump on this, and the money looks like it doesn't agree. 80% of tickets, only 79% of the cash on Buffalo. They're around minus 125 or so here. The total is only 5.5. It's a pretty low total with money indicating very strongly on the over, though. I don't really have a good feel, but, these games all had empty net goals, even though I think empty net goals are flukes. You might wind up with another one in this game, and that probably will piss you off if it makes the final 4-2 and you're on an under in that one. But, yeah, I don't have a great feel for that game. And then Anaheim-Vegas. Vegas got us the win and covered with the empty net goal at the end of that game. Maybe got a little bit lucky. If you look at what happened in this game, I like Vegas. I like their experience. Vegas is better at home. So I like all that. That was some of the reasoning that I put behind that first game. I think Vegas is going to win the series, but I don't know if I like this that much, man, because they did make, they padded their lead with an empty net goal. And if you look at what happened in this game, Anaheim outshot Vegas by 12 shots. The faceoffs were close, and Anaheim out-hit Vegas by double digits as well. So Anaheim actually outplayed Vegas. So that actually worries me. And really for that reason, I would lean to Anaheim in this one in kind of a zigzag spot because I think that was actually a misleading result, and maybe we kind of got that game a little bit wrong. Vegas looks like they're getting the money. 66% of tickets, 86% of the cash on them. Minus 160 or so is where the price is. Similar to game 1. I would lean to Anaheim, though, in this one. You can make a split bet, partially on the puck line, partially on the money line in that one. Probably what I would do there. Oh, and since I always do it, I will look at Montreal and Buffalo as far as home road. Montreal was actually a really good road team, so that worries me as well. They were pretty good on the road. Buffalo was decent at home as well, but they had Buffalo's home record was very similar to Montreal's road record. All right. NBA, I will give out a play in one of the two NBA games here, and the money seems like it's not agreeing with me on this. These games are on ESPN. The first game up is in the Eastern Conference, and this is going to be my play. Nobody's going to want to do this, man. Because the Knicks have now set a record, a playoff record, winning, I think, 3 straight games by 30-plus points or something like that. So you know what we're going to do. We're going to take the 76ers plus 7.5 here against the Knicks. I know nobody's going to want to do this, but I don't think this is that lopsided of a series. I do think the Knicks are going to win the series. I know the Knicks are really good at home. Philadelphia wasn't that good on the road, but remember, Philadelphia played a lot of the season without their full roster, so that's something you got to keep in mind. And Philadelphia did play better against the Knicks when they had their full roster, which I think they only had Embiid for 2 of the 4 games they played against the Knicks during the regular season, and they played better in those 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. But what I'm looking at here is I think we're going to get some regression here. I mean, the Knicks have scored over 120 points in the last 3 games. They won those games by 29. That ridiculous blowout of Atlanta that they won by, 51? And then they won the first game in this series by whatever that is. What is that? That's 29 as well, I think, right? Yeah, so, or no, it's 39, right? Yeah, 39. I can't even do math anymore, man. 39. I can't do math, yes. Anyway, the Knicks have won 3 straight games by like a record amount, whatever it is. The Knicks are at home here again. Dude, I have stroke brain now. I apologize. Dude, I had perfect math SATs and shit. I'm a math guy. I don't know what I'm even doing anymore. The stroke definitely hurt me. Anyway, you look into this game, the Knicks look like they're just unstoppable right now. That's the point where I think the value is a little bit, there's like no value on the Knicks anymore. You know what I mean? And you look at what happened in this game. I mean, come on, man. The Knicks shot 63% from the field, 51% from 3 in the game. They had 8 more 3-pointers, which is not even really something they're totally known for. Philly did go to the line way more, so they did have a huge free throw advantage in the game. So that concerns me a little bit, and the Knicks did win the rebound battle, so they were kind of the better team in the game. But still, the shooting was unbelievably lopsided. The Sixers only shot 41% from the field, and they shot okay from 3-point range. Just the Knicks, I mean, come on, man. They were plus 24 from 3-point range. You're not going to hit over 50% of your threes. You're not going to hit 63% from the field anymore. I think the Knicks are in line for a major, major regression coming into this game. They probably feel really good about themselves, about that blowout. And by the way, they did have a rest advantage there. The Knicks had gone 6 games against Atlanta, so they had more time off, which I don't think developed into rust, obviously. Philadelphia was pulling off an upset of the Celtics, and played a tough Game 7 there, and had to quickly swing around and then play in New York. So I think Philadelphia, now they're settled in. Both teams have the same amount of rest now, pretty much, at least off of the last game. Again, the zigzag works for a reason, man, and it's because people will people will weigh these outliers too much. We're going to do it. We're going to take the 76ers here. I do worry that we see 55% of tickets and 88% of the cash on the Knicks here, but that's not what I want to do. Total's at 215.5. I don't really have a good gauge on the total, although the money's coming in towards the under pretty strongly in this one. And, I probably agree with it just because the Knicks have scored so many points in the last few games. I think if you go Knicks under their team total, that might work as well. Because the Knicks team total is probably going to be skewed a bit. Let me see what the number is on it. Like the Knicks, their scoring has just been a major outlier. 111.5 is the number on that. I could definitely see the Knicks going under for once here. But I like Philly to cover. The number's pretty much the same as it was in Game 1. We'll do it. We'll zigzag it. I think the Knicks are going to have not as good a performance on offense finally. Philadelphia is the play. Minnesota-San Antonio is interesting. Minnesota won in an upset in game one. And remember, Anthony Edwards came back in that game. And I do talk, I haven't had the ticker up. I don't even want it up, but there you go. Or I could do this, actually. There you go. Although my overall run is not ice cold, so whatever. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, Minnesota won the game outright. They initially were going to be like a double-digit underdog in that game, but then Anthony Edwards came back last minute, and the line went off at about 8.5 on San Antonio. So I talk about the injured player theory. You know, I liked Minnesota with Edwards not playing in the game. I liked them to cover. But with Edwards playing, I worried about that a little bit because the injured player theory usually overrates that player coming back. And he actually came off the bench. But then what usually happens is they work him back in. He's probably going to start in this game, I would imagine. And then what happens is they usually play better in the second game with him back because now he has a game under his belt. You know what I mean? Even though he wasn't even actually bad in game one. So I like San Antonio in this game, though. But these are some of the things that worry me about San Antonio here. Normally, yes, I like San Antonio because they lost as a big favorite. They cannot fall down 0-2 at home, man. You just can't do it. And then have to go on the road against a team that beats you experience-wise. That's the other thing about Minnesota. Minnesota has way more experience. They've been to the conference finals 2 years in a row. Their best player is back. I know they're still without DiVincenzo, but he's more of a role player. You know, Minnesota does have those advantages in this series. So I lean San Antonio. I think they do bounce back here. They're still the better team, but the money kind of disagreeing with it. They got 58% of tickets, 54% of the cash on them. You can still find 9.5s out there, but it's mostly 10 out there right now in San Antonio, which is a little bit much because they were 8.5 in game one after it was announced that Edwards was coming back. So, you know, the books are accounting for the zigzag in this case. They've actually skewed the line more towards San Antonio here. And I don't believe Edwards is out. I think he's playing, I would assume. Let me see. He's listed as a game-time decision, and so is Dosunmu. I think he's going to play, though. I mean, he did look a little bit hobbled in that last game, but he also put up some decent numbers. So, yeah. I like San Antonio, but I worry that the second game with the star player back, that team usually does better. And the experience is on the Minnesota side. But the zigzag would say San Antonio because you're getting the team at home having lost the first game as a big favorite. Usually that team does bounce back and play better. But remember, Minnesota is not Portland, though. San Antonio beating Portland, that doesn't impress me, you know. So all the things to keep in mind here. Total looks like it's getting some traction towards the over. Total's gone up a little bit. It was down at 215.5. It's a little bit higher now. It looks like at 216, although it initially opened at 216.5. I don't have a good feel for the total, really. I think the total, you know, it had to move up a little bit with Edwards coming back, and I think it overreacted in game one. So I think the total did wind up going under slightly in game one. Because, the total... Yeah, it was up to 2. Actually, it went under by double digits, actually. The total went up to 218.5. And San Antonio actually went off a 10.5-point favorite. So my mistake. I thought they had dropped to 8.5, but no, they were 10.5. So actually, the 10 doesn't look as bad in this game. They were going to be 13.5. And then with Edwards coming back, they dropped to 10.5. But that does still seem like kind of a big number. Now, some things that do concern me about San Antonio coming into this game is, you know, I mean, the game was actually close statistically, and Minnesota missed a ton of their free throws. So Minnesota might actually have some positive regression from the free throw line. San Antonio did shoot badly from three-point range, though, 28%, so they'll have positive regression from three-point range probably. But the game was definitely close. It wasn't really that misleading as far as the score. Like, I think these two teams are a little bit closer matched than what the lines makers are putting out there. So I lean San Antonio because of the spot, but I don't like it that much. So I was thinking I might have plays on both games, but I'm only going with the 76ers. That's going to do it. That's the show today. The plays today, one more time, we have a bunch of MLB totals. First 5 under in A's Philadelphia. That one's probably the best out of them. We're going over 9.5, Minnesota, Washington, and we're going under 8.5 in Texas and Yankees. And we're going to take the 76ers plus 7.5. Let's get back on track after yesterday was really bad. I like seeing 50-something wins with 20-something losses. You know what I mean? I told you this run was a bit unsustainable, though. But still, we've been good over the course of this year so far. We're definitely up this year. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Listen to the show on audio. Like, subscribe to the show here on YouTube. Get more people to watch it. Covered in Uke on YouTube. Check that out. Patreon.com/Learn to Toad. Linktree has all my links in it. Linktree, Learn to Toad. Losercast, new episode last night. My loser was the JP Morgan guy who falsely accused the woman of sexually harassing him. Go check that out. G-Spot Giants podcast will probably be back at some point soon. And yeah, I believe that is it. Keep paying attention to the show here, man. WNBA is starting on Friday, and there's some new teams in the league that I'm going to have to get a grasp on. I don't know. I might not have any plays right out of the gate, but we'll see. That's going to do it. Thanks for hanging out this morning, everybody. Peace. And no, I don't have an OnlyFans. Peace.
But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now.